I want to talk about what sort of set you into the self-discovery in midlife and figuring out who you are and what you want. You describe how after 24 years of marriage, you realized that your husband was having an affair, and that really sort of catapulted you into the next version of you. Can you tell us about that?
It did. It was a really hard time in my life. I can't imagine ever having to go through it again. And I knew something was wrong, something was off, but I really, for the longest time, had no idea what. And he actually told me, and it wasn't over at that point, and it drug on for a while. It was just a very excruciatingly painful time. But I will tell you that our marriage really, I can say, probably was never great. And part of it was me. I was a really needy person. I was looking for outside validation. I wanted everything to come to me to make me feel better from the outside. And I didn't realize that I needed to do the inside work, the inner work, to heal myself. And that would make my life so much better. So when this happened, it really sent me on kind of a path of self-discovery. I started to meditate. I started to journal. I started to read self-help books, like everyone that was ever written, I feel like. And I mean, my bedside table still is. It's just stacked. And I just started to learn these, what I call spiritual truths, and I started to put them into practice. Now, I'm not going to say it was overnight. It's still not overnight. I mean, there are days I still look at him and think, I'm just so mad at you. Mm-hmm. But we are still together, and our marriage is, I would say, better than it ever has been now. It's a marriage, and it's two people, and there are always going to be issues and arguments and things, but we are happy and our family is together, which is really important to me. I was so afraid to be alone, so I just could not let it go. And that's one of the things I talk about in my course. I don't know that I would still be here if I hadn't had that fear of being alone. I hung on just with everything I had, but I didn't realize I would be okay if I was alone. But I know now. And I think that's maybe one of the things that makes our marriage better. I know I'd be fine. I don't really want that, but I would be fine now because I have done the work. And I think that, I know this happens so often and people don't really want to talk about it, but it was so pivotal in changing my life for the better that at this point I look at it as a gift. I have the gift of the story of what happened to me, and I can share it with other women predominantly. And I think when you share, you give others the empowerment to do that as well. And we can all help each other, support each other. My story is always going to be different than someone else's, but we can never truly understand someone else's life, but we can relate. And I do think it's important to feel not alone with your problems.
Right. And I couldn't agree more. I mean, just speaking from my own marriage, my husband and I have been almost married for 18 years, together for 27. We met in 9th grade. And I'll tell you, this past year with a move, a remodel, 2 kids in high school, the pandemic, I was like, oh my God, marriage is hard, Woo! Obviously we weren't getting divorced, but it really tries your patience, and you're all together and there's all these big life things happening at the same time. And you're just like, oh my God. And I think for me, I realized in all of this when I started getting what I call the midlife itchies, oh my God, I have to find something for myself that's outside of my kids and my husband, that no one was going to do it for me. I had this secret wish that Amazon was going to drop off this package that's like, Sarah, here's your fucking self-reinvented midlife. Yeah. I'm like, I'll pay triple, but it never came, And I also had this fantasy that my husband was going to do it for me. He was going to be like, Sarah, I have this great business idea for you. And all you have to do is wake up in the morning and do X, Y, and Z. But that didn't happen either. And the reality is, even if he had done that, it wouldn't have been my own.
Right. It wouldn't have. It would have been his idea, his baby. And yeah, it wouldn't have worked.
Yeah, it wouldn't have worked. And so I think I've realized in all of this that, part of my message is we do have to do that work. And I think that when couples come together, a lot of women are very dependent on men in relationships to make them happy. And I'm sure in some cases it goes the other way too, but I think that the responsibility lies in each individual having their own sense of self outside of their marriage.